Hello, everyone, and thanks for your interest in Biolocity. My name is John Nikosha, and I'm the Interim Managing Director of the Biolocity program. Today, I'll talk about our 2025 request for proposals and our new application process. If you haven't worked with us before, Biolocity is a philanthropic accelerator program focusing on the commercialization of early-stage medical technology with IP held at Emory University or Georgia Institute of Technology. We're technically housed in the biomedical engineering department, but our funding and other resources are available to faculty across both campuses. We are most well known for our funding program. We're non-dilutive funders, so we do not take equity directly in the projects that we fund. However, we also have some wraparound support programs that you might not be aware of. We have a pro bono business consulting program with our entrepreneurs in residence that's available to faculty at any time of the year. And is not a requirement for our funding, but it is helpful to get some feedback on your technology, even if you're not seeking funding at that time. We also have a Bench to Market talk series where we bring in speakers for a variety of commercialization topics, and most of these talks are virtual and free. You can find registration links on our website. Here's a bit on our metrics. We've been around in our current iteration since around 2015. In that time, we've awarded a little over $10 million in non-dilutive funding, and the projects that we have funded have gone on to result in 24 active startups, which have collectively achieved over $137 million in follow-on funding. We have our portfolio companies with 6 products on the market, as well as 1 acquisition for one of our therapeutics companies as well. So I want to focus today on our new application process. If some of you have applied for Biolocity before, this might look a little different to you. We've tried to take out a few different touch points and streamline the application process. So to start with, we will ask teams to submit a letter of intent and a 3 to 5 minute lightning pitch online by December 2nd, 2024. You can find these instructions on our website or also reach out to our team for more details. After you submit the letter of intent and the lightning pitch, our oversight committee will evaluate each pitch, and we will have an intellectual property review process as well. Based on the output of those 2 processes, we'll invite a subset of applicants to submit a full application, and this invitation will go out by February 7th, 2025. Applicants are required to attend one of our Bench to Market talks that I mentioned. This is about building a compelling pitch. And following that, we will invite applicants to participate in a milestone and budget review in mid-March. This will lead to the construction and submission of your full proposal by April 1st. We'll do pitch coaching between April 7th and 10th, and then the final pitch will take place between May 7th and May 8th next year. We'll finalize funding decisions for new projects by May and initiate new projects by July. So to go over that in timeline view, here's how the next few months will look for the Biolocity program. We released our RFP this month, so submissions are now open to submit your letter of intent and your lightning pitch. This will close, like I said, in the first week of December. Concurrently, throughout this period, we will start the evaluation of lightning pitches and letters of intent, and we'll conduct our intellectual property review in mid-January. This will lead to our invitations to full pitch going out the first week of February. And at that point, we will start doing some intense market research and due diligence alongside our applicant teams and in collaboration with our internship program. We'll also work with applicants to build feasible milestone strategies and a budget that corresponds to those milestones. And this will help build your full application due in the first week of April. Finally, we'll do some full pitch coaching with our team to prepare applicants for the final pitch that will occur in the first week of May. So I'll talk a bit about the funding requirements and evaluation criteria. Because we are situated within Georgia Tech and Emory, all of our applicant teams must have IP that's held at least in part by one of those 2 partner institutions. You don't have to have a fully granted patent. A patent application is fine, and if you work in a technology space where a patent is not the most feasible way to protect that technology, we're also willing to consider other forms as well, but it's important that you've at least disclosed your invention to your tech transfer office and have some kind of a decision or feedback from them that we can work from. We encourage teams to have 2 PIs, one that's focused on the technical execution and then one that's focused on the clinical unmet need. We found that tends to be a recipe for success. If you are one half of that team and you're looking for a collaborator, please feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to look through our network for folks who might be willing to join your team. At least one of those PIs must be an Emory or Georgia Tech faculty member, but you can collaborate with outside faculty as well. You can also bring on business advisors who might be helping you throughout the commercialization process, but you've got to have at least one Georgia Tech or Emory faculty member. And as I mentioned before, we have a Bench to Market talk series. We really strongly encourage applicants to check out some of our past talks, which you can find on the Biolocity YouTube channel, because that'll help strengthen your proposal. When we are evaluating technologies, most of this comes from our oversight committee, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I've included some bullets for the key categories that our oversight committee will consider when they're evaluating your submission. It all really starts with the validation of the unmet clinical need. So please do your homework, try to do some customer discovery and ensure that the problem that you're addressing is a real clinical problem. We'll consider the competitive landscape, including both current standard of care as well as up and coming candidates who might be working their way through clinical trials. We'll consider current and future market dynamics, starting with patient population and how that population may change in the time that it takes your product to reach the market. We'll consider intellectual property. We try to answer a lot of those questions early in the funding process through our IP review, but we may have a few intellectual property related questions that crop up closer to full pitch as well. We also work with regulatory professionals to try to identify key sources of regulatory risk and how we can help our teams mitigate them. If applicable, we do a similar process for reimbursement. And ultimately, what our committee is looking for is something that has a high probability of either entering the market, reaching clinical use, or at least receiving follow-on funding or other partnership support within 2 to 3 years of receiving a Biolocity award. I mentioned our oversight committee, and you can find this list of names on our website as well, but it comprises both investors, industry leaders, as well as some academic leadership here at Georgia Tech and Emory. And these are the folks who will evaluate your lightning pitches, provide their feedback, and they will also be the ones who you are pitching to during the final pitch event in May. I mentioned we've got a pro bono technology consultation program, and in previous funding cycles, this was the entry point to apply for Biolocity funding. We've done away with that requirement, but the program is still there as an optional resource for those who are interested. So I encourage you, if you think that you may have something interesting, commercializable, or at least you just have interesting technology and you'd like to talk about us about potential commercial uses of it, please sign up for a meeting. You can find a link on our website. We're always happy to talk to faculty, no matter the stage of innovation, and we can provide some feedback. And if you're not a great fit for Biolocity funding for whatever reason, we may have some other resources that we could suggest for you as well. Here's a bit about our investment criteria and sort of how we've structured our funding cycle. We like to say that we are a VC-structured application process. We've got an investment committee that I mentioned. We do a fairly intensive and comprehensive due diligence process that includes customer discovery and KOL interviews to flesh out the market research reports that we generate. And we try to work towards fundable milestones that will lead toward value inflection and follow-on funding opportunities. So that's why we try to work with our teams on milestone strategy before they make their final pitch to the oversight committee. In addition to funding, we provide active project management as well as business leadership through our Entrepreneur in Residence program. So it's quite a hands-on funding program, and it comes with not only just the funding itself, but the expertise of our team and the connections that we can provide. We meet with each of our funded teams bi-weekly for the most part. Because of all this, we like to say that our program functions as a bridge, not a pier. At the end of our funding, we try to help our awardees identify the next bucket of money or the next source of support or partnership to continue your commercialization journey. So I mentioned that we have an active project management component of our funding. Here's a few more details on that. As I mentioned, we meet bi-weekly with each of our project teams, and this is less about reporting progress to us as it is about identifying ways that we can help the commercialization of this project. We'll try to help you reach your milestones. We can make connections to sources both on campus and in our broader network, whether that is a one-off conversation or maybe an introduction to follow-on funders or industry partners. Whatever it takes to get our funded teams to the next stage of development, we see that as kind of our mission through the project management component of our program. So this is my last slide. As I mentioned, if you've got questions, please reach out to biolocity@gatech.edu. This QR code will take you to our Airtable submission form for the application. You can also find this on our website, and we've sent out some communications to campus departments as well. So please reach out to us if you have any questions about applying, and we look forward to evaluating your technology. Thanks for your time.